Okay, let's go. Hello, welcome. This is actually, I'm super excited for this class. I'm going to hurry and introduce myself and then also have Brianna unmute. She is my partner with this. I was about to say partner in crime, but that
That's
works
okay
too.
too.
So, my name is Laurel Huston. I am the Divine Feminine Enchantress. I specialize in speaking, coaching, mentoring, doing women's retreats, and all of the good things to help women have a better relationship with their health, their wealth, and intimacy. And so, this is one of those, the more I learn, the
Mm.
harder I have niching down. And so this is one of my really cool side tangents that I just thought women need to know this. So here we are. And to go along with this, so I'm going to be talking about the witch wound. We'll get into that a little bit more. And I want also, Brianna is going to talk from her perspective of how the witch wound affects us and what it does. So go ahead and unmute for a second and introduce yourself as well.
So I'm Brianna Anderson. Hi, guys. And for those watching on the Facebook page, eventually, I teach human design and gene keys. And beyond that scope, I really help people find their essence, find their core talents, find what they bring to the table so they can stop projecting outwards. I help people really just understand how to source what it is that they think they need to earn. And we're going to leave it at that. I have a book and I love also, like Laurel said, to public speak. And we're just really here to serve you guys tonight. So thanks for being here.
Okay, so Brianna is going to kind of watch the chat. Later tonight, we're going to share something that we've been working on that we're super excited about. So this is the trial run. We've already made notes. Okay. So first, what is the witch wound and why am I teaching this? So whether this is your first time meeting me or you've been with me for a while, um, I have a background in psychology and the nervous system. And the other part of this is I love when I can find where the woo woo and the science come together. And so that is, in a nutshell, really where I specialize. Because when you get the nervous system and you look at all things magical, mystical, spiritual, I don't care what label you give it. When you take the explained and the unexplained and they help each other, that's where I love to be. So, how many of you have ever heard the saying, your thoughts create your reality? Have you guys ever heard that before? Okay. I believed that for a really, really, really long time. And to a point, I still do. But I want to modify it just a little bit. Your thoughts create your reality as long as your nervous system lets it. So your thoughts don't create your reality, your nervous system does. And if you're wondering what this has to do with the witch wound, that's what we're actually going to be talking about tonight. I'm going to explain what a witch wound is for those of you who have never heard one before. Whether you consider yourself to be a witch or not, you have a witch wound. And do you know how I know this? You are a woman and you have women in your past history. So, um, because I did have somebody reach out and she's like, I don't want to learn witchcraft. And I was like, good, because this has nothing to do with witchcraft. I'm talking about money very specifically, actually, and how the concept of a witch wound, which is even a concept that is taught in the psychological world. So I do have a degree in psychology. I have a second degree in speech communication and human development. So I just studied people for a really long time. And the very first place and kind of the story that I want to share with this is very much my first kind of introduction into a witch wound was in college. Well, actually, even before I got into college. So, as a 17-year-old, I got my cosmetology license. So, I started beauty school in high school, graduated from high school, immediately went into the salon. So, I could not legally vote yet, but I had a career and a license and all of the things that go along with that. And I was working in an industry that is female dominated. And it is incredibly competitive. And every stereotype about what we dislike about other women is like blaringly obvious in the salon world because we're literally the beauty industry. So it's who's the prettiest, who's the skinniest, who's the nicest. It's all the isses, who's prettier. Like it's all of the comparisons. Who is who and if you this is where it gets really interesting because in the salon world, you know, you have your clients and they book with you and then they come back to you. And then because we're women, sometimes we get pregnant. So then we disappear for 3 months. And in that 3 months' time, we say, who can I trust to give me back my client and not jack up her hair in the meantime? Right? So this is the industry that I was in for 17 years. Gotta close my eyes so the twitch doesn't like distract. But the hard part about this was that it was so normal. It wasn't just a stereotype. It was like, oh yeah, women are so catty. Why don't girls like other girls? Because every insecurity you didn't know you had shows up when you're with them. I've hosted retreats for over a decade now. And do you know what women's most stressful part of the retreat is? Packing, choosing what clothes they're going to wear in front of other women. That is the thing that we're like, all right, I got my babysitter, I got my job, like got all the like logistical stuff taken care of, you know, the big heavy stuff. And then they go to pack and they're like, I don't know if I want to go to the retreat anymore. I don't know if I look good enough in those jeans. What kind of pajamas are people going to wear? Is this going to be too fancy? That is the witch wound speaking. Because if I were to take all of those scenarios in the salon, who's going to steal my clients? Who is prettier, happier, skinnier than I am? All of that comparison, what you're actually asking yourself, what your system and for 1,000 years worth of DNA is asking is, how can I be seen and still be safe? How can I fit in without standing out? But how can I stand out without making myself a target? How can I be noticed, but not noticed in a way that gets me hurt or in trouble or in danger? But how can I stand out? But how can I fit in? Do I shrink or do I shine? Have any of you had this go on in your head before? All the time. And so I was talking with Brianna and I said, you know, it was interesting because I had really crappy friends through college. Like, not even gonna pretend like they were good people. And I was okay with it. And they used me a lot. Like, we would go clubbing and I was the bait because I had bigger boobs than everyone else. So they were like, Laurel, go get noticed by those guys. So I would get a group of guys and they would come start talking to me, and then all my friends would appear, right? And I was okay with this because it was the only time I was allowed to shine and not be hated for it. I was okay being the bait because I could show up as me. I could be the girl that had everything. I could be the pretty one. I could be the sexy one. I could be the desired one. And no one hated me for it for a second. But then I've also had moments as time has gone on and situations have changed that I'm like, can I just be the short, fat, frumpy one that hides in the corner and no one notices? I'm totally fine not shining. Like, I am so tired of being the light that everyone uses to guide their way. Can I just actually not be seen? And guess what? That's the witch wound too. Because sometimes our light does get used, and we get to the point that we're like, you all wanted me around when you needed help with your labor and delivery. Y'all wanted me around when you needed a salve. But as soon as you weren't safe, you threw me under the bus. So can I just disappear? Can I just not worry about being noticed? That is the witch wound. And these are patterns that we have. I've never had it that before now. Oh, but Jessica, this is going to be so applicable to you. Okay, like pause. I'm going to just give a little bit of a shout out to Jessica, and I'm also going to give you permission. She just launched her first novel, and I am so excited about this. So when this is over and it's posted over back on Facebook, please, please, please post a link so that people can find your book. You guys, she is an accomplished, like not first time author, accomplished author. The book is called Madame. It has the cutest premise that I don't want to give too much away. You guys can read the forward of it, but it is, I need to celebrate her for just a second because I've known Jessica for a while and this has been a long time coming. So can everybody just like send her love? I'm gonna unmute you. Are you okay? Oh, you know what? This is on overcoming witch wounds and being safe to be seen. So unmute for a second and just say hi so that you show up on the camera.
Hi, everybody.
Tell them the
Thanks so
name of your
much for
book.
the shout out. I appreciate it.
Mhm. And what's your goal with your book?
I want to sell 1,000 copies by the end of the year. So we're starting slow, but we're slowly gaining momentum. I sold an entire case on Monday. A case is 24 books. Like a bookstore had to have ordered 24 books like overnight. So we're gaining momentum. We're getting there.
Jessica, that's incredible. Congratulations. Oh, okay. And I know this is a big thing because Brianna's going through this too. She's launching a book as well. So for those of you that are like, I'm launching something, and I'm going to use Brianna as an example as well. So her book has sexual innuendo in the title. So it's even more like, is this safe to put out there? It's called Epiphanies, Foreplay Through Wordplay, Orgasms of the Mind. It's such a good book. It's one of those that you like, okay, what do I need to know today? And you just randomly open it up to a page and you get like a word of the day. It's beautiful. So, but this is where witch wounds, Jessica's like, I've never actually felt that till I decided to be seen. And then every insecurity and every fear I didn't know I had is like red alarms in my face and in my head and in my body. How you sleeping, ladies? Okay, this is where I say, yes, your thoughts create your reality, but your nervous system does too. Because it was all unicorns and rainbows and excitement till the book got bought. And then it was like, does it actually feel safe to have people purchase my creation? Does it actually feel safe to have this out in the world, to have people have opinions about it? And your nervous system, the more you can keep it calm as you continue to hear in your mind, and you're like, all right, as I think about this book spreading, and I'm going to think about someone bought this internationally and it has to be shipped to a whole nother country. Does your nervous system still go, or does it go? Because that is what I mean by your nervous system creates your reality. Your nervous system tells your brain, this is safe to be seen in this way, or it is not. So, little tip with manifestation when you are visualizing in your mind, if you start holding your breath and it's not like a, I'm so excited, and your breath and your body starts to get tense and heavy, stop your visualization. If everything in your body gets heavy and you start to get stiff during a visualization, your nervous system is not ready for it. Stop visualizing. Get yourself back into a place of light and pleasure and joy. And I promise this has to do with the witch wound because your nervous system has deep embedding in its DNA. So here's like the, um, I guess, scientific portion of it. Have any of you ever heard of epigenetics? You can raise your hand or in the chat say yes or no. Okay, so the short version is epigenetics are they're imprinted on your DNA. And they are the messages that you may not have had a personal experience with something, but your DNA did. So if you only go back 400 years, One person has over 1 million people in their DNA genetic line. Just 4 generations back, there's 32 people. So if you go 400 years back, you're looking at over 1 million people and all of their experiences that have gone into your DNA. So here is what that can look like. I have an like a visceral reaction to black dogs. Terrified of black dogs. Have been my entire life. Do you know the first black dog I was ever around? I was 17 years old. And my nephew got a puppy. And even the puppy that's like, let me lick your face off, that I was like, well, guess what attacked my father when he was a very young child? A big black dog. Well, he hadn't had kids yet, but his DNA was like, noted, big black dogs equal possible death. We will make sure our posterity is aware of this. So then I get born, and my DNA is like, stay away from big black dogs. And my brain is like, okay. And my body is like, check. So my brain had no reason, no programming whatsoever to stay away from big black dogs. But if a dog barked, my whole nervous system was like, and I'm searching. And if I saw the color of it, then my nervous system shut down even more. I think my brain is allergic to fun. That is a real thing. It's not your brain, it's your body. It's your body. Your brain, your epigenetics will not make sense in your brain because they're not your experiences. So I'm going to use Abby for a second because I know some things about her. So she used to get morning sickness, or not morning sickness, motion sickness. And we were able to get it back to a specific memory. But even more than that, if somewhere in your DNA, say you had an ancestor that came over on the boat from Europe to the Americas, and they were sick the whole time they were on the ocean, your epigenetics will hold a code that says motion or movement that is unpredictable. When we are going somewhere and we don't know where it's taking us, we'll get motion sickness. Well, there it is, she says. Because your epigenetics are what are telling you, and your brain is like, we've never even ridden on a boat, but the first time you go out on a boat, the whole time you were like, I think I'm going to die. Am I going to die? I think I'm going to die. So this also plays out in another way. If your past ancestry was very accustomed to certain things, like someone in your ancestry loved to sleep by the fire. So they had no fear of fire whatsoever. They loved heat. They wanted to be as close to it as possible. And every time you try to move somewhere cold, your body is like, we will die. I have to have socks on. I have to be by the fire. I have to have the heat. That is epigenetics, because somewhere in your ancestry, someone preferred the warmth, and they settled the nervous system to the point that they're like, the warmer we are, the happier, healthier, and safer we are. So now you're predisposed to wanting to be warm all the time. Vice versa. Someone felt more comfort, more safety, more love when it was winter outside. You want to be cold all the time. This is epigenetics. Is this making sense? Okay, so now we're going to go a little dark for just a second. Just warning, getting your nervous system ready. What if you watch your neighbor? What if it's 13:12 and you hear your best friend being drug out of her house screaming? So you look out your window and you know she's about to be burned at the stake. And then you watch her burn. Do you like fire anymore? Do you have a fear or an obsession of watching it? This is really interesting because they've actually shown people who have ancestors that watched someone burn like to watch fire. And people who have ancestors that actually burned don't. They don't like to watch a fire. And they have done all sorts of study. I was like, who got paid to do this study? Because I would really like to find, just kidding. I was like, that would be fascinating. But these are things that you and I'm not going to speak to one specific belief system because some people believe in past lives or past life regression. Some people it is strictly just epigenetics. For some people it's reincarnation. You have options here, but the point is at one point in time your DNA learned what happened during the witch trials because they lasted for 1,000 years. This is where most people are like, wait, what? Yes, from about 520 AD until 1500. That's 1,000 years they lasted all throughout Europe. And then we had to redo them over here in the Americas. So for 1,000 years. And here is where your nervous system picked up the patterns of what to try and stay away from, because these are the people that were targeted. Yes, both men, women, and children were killed during the witch trials. The majority of them, 80% actually, were women. They actually estimate, they have records of 50,000 people being executed during the witch trials, but they actually estimate that it's twice that amount because of all of those that were done privately, like lynchings. So here were the rules of the witch trials. If you were too poor, you were a witch. If you were sick, you were a witch. If you were outspoken, you were a witch. If you owned land but did not have a husband, you were a witch because whoever accused you split your property with the church at large. So if you had money, if you had status, if you had wealth, you were not immune from being part of the witch trials if you were a woman. If you spoke out against a system of authority and people believed you, you were accused of being a witch. If you had the ability to know about alternative healing, and it's interesting because we label it alternative now, but medical practice was actually the alternative healing for most of human history. So women were the keepers of birth. Mothers taught their daughters how to midwife other women. Women were the keepers and the gatekeepers to life. So if you were a midwife and a baby died, you were a witch. If you knew how to use salves and you were able to take poultices and heal someone, and that took money away from a pharmacist, you were a witch. So here is the crux of the witch wound. If you were on the edges, if you were either really poor or a woman of great wealth who didn't have a husband and owned land or property, those were the most accused, the very poor or the widowed. If you were self-sufficient as a woman, you were often accused as well. Side squirrel, the word spinster for a very long time was not considered a derogatory term. The word spinster was a classification of a woman who could spin enough wool to sell it. Like she had so many resources, she could sell them. And therefore tended to not get married until later on in life or not at all, because she was self-sufficient. So they were called spinsters because they were spinners of wool and yarn. And they had so much excess. Are you guys hearing the pattern here? So we're not allowed to be poor, but we're also not allowed to be super wealthy and on our own. So when you're DNA and you're like, I'm going to set a goal and I'm going to make this, I hear this so often in the personal development world because I mostly work with women. I want to be able to retire my husband. I want to make so much money that he can quit his job. And your DNA goes, but we'll die. If you retire your husband and you become the person who owns all the property, they used to kill those women. You know that, right? Because how many women are like, I just want my husband's time and attention, and if he's not at work all the time because I'm making enough money that he doesn't have to be at work all the time, then we'll be happy, right? And your brain is totally on board and your nervous system is like, not a chance. We will procrastinate you and your business into oblivion. Because if you actually get prosperous enough that you are the owner of all things of property, we will shut your nervous system down so you can't ever get that goal. That's a witch wound. Oh, you learned human design and you have a 4 in you, and so you are supposed to work together with other people. You're supposed to collaborate. Be careful, because if you go into competition, your competition will turn you in. That's a witch wound. If you fear working with other women, especially in a collaborative place, that's a witch wound. Because what better way to save yourself than to accuse your neighbor? Oh, that plague that happened, that missed my house, it missed my neighbor's house too, and I bought herbs from her. I'm not the witch. She is. So then we're going to combine, because I know the people who Brianna and I bring, we bring healers. So if you have a business that you are trying to help others heal through non-conventional methods that go against the current system of healing, and you're trying to help them heal mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, you're trying to break normative patterns, your DNA is like, are you trying to get us killed? We will help you gain weight because then you can hide better. Have you ever noticed how many healers start to gain weight when they start to get really well known as healers? It's their witch wound. And as they claim and own that they're an author, that they're a healer, that they're a speaker, that it's safe to be seen, the weight can go off. But until they feel safe to be seen as, not just safe to be seen as. What is your as, ladies? Safe to be seen as wealthy, safe to be seen as a provider, safe to be seen as sexy, safe to be seen as outspoken. It's not just safe to be seen, it's safe to be seen as. What is your as that your nervous system shuts down on? And if you're like, all of those that you just mentioned, I know, I get it. It's not just one. So you pick the one that your nervous system was like, well, we don't like that one, but we will let you function. So you're like, okay, it's safe to be seen on social media. So you start showing up on social media. But then if you say it's safe to be seen as an author on social media, how does your nervous system feel about that one? Ladies, it's the as. So many people are going to try and get you just to accept it's safe to be seen. If you don't add the as, you won't heal your safe to be seen. Safe to be seen as what? Safe to be seen as wealthy, safe to be seen as healthy. Is it safe to be seen in your family as the healthy one, as the skinny one, as the fun one, Abby? Is it safe to be seen as? Because when you can be safe to be seen as, you are healing your witch wound, and you are literally, this is the cool part, you're literally changing your DNA. And epigenetics, this is the woo-woo part, but they've actually scientifically mapped this. As you change your DNA and your epigenetics, it changes the epigenetics in the people who share your DNA. Because epigenetics are done on not just a chemical level in your body, but an energetic level. So as I heal my safe to be seen as sexy, my mother and my sisters and my daughter all feel safer to be seen as sexy, to the point that my daughter doesn't actually have any body image issues. Biology, yes, biology of belief. I am safe to be seen as powerful. I am safe to be seen as a sovereign spiritual powerhouse. I love that. As an author, as a leader. So here's the next part of this. I'm safe to be seen as blank, even if other women are seen as that too. I'm safe to be seen as blank, even if other women are seen as that too. I'm allowed to be beautiful, and you can all claim that as well. I'm allowed to be wealthy, and you can all claim that as well. As soon as you add the I need to be wealthier. That's the competition energy. Wealthier than who? Wealthier than yourself? Cool, compete against yourself every day. Wealthier than Jessica? Because here's the other side of it. Oh, I'll never be as good of an author as she is. That's comparison too, ladies. That is still the witch wound. That is you saying, I'm going to hide. I'm going to play small, and then no one can find me, and then no one can accuse me. So I'm curious, how many of you feel your witch wound in I'm gonna lift others up, because if they're looking at her, then they don't notice me. That's one way we do this. The other way we do this is we get these really big goals and we make our goals, but we can't hold them. I'm going to have a $10,000 month and I only did it once. I'm going to have a $90,000 month and I can never get it again. I'm going to find the man of my dreams, and right before I feel like I can commit to him, I'm going to pick a fight and look like a psycho, and then he's never going to call me again. So do you tend to lift others up so you can hide behind them? Or do you tend to just stay out of the spotlight? You get it, but you can't keep it. And guess what? You can have both. You can have both, because I promise in 1,000 years, you have more than one ancestor that burned. Here's an interesting one. Not everyone who doesn't gossip is actually doing it because of altruistic motives. Some people in our DNA, you were the squealer. You were the one that turned people in. And so for some of us, in our DNA, it's literally unsafe to gossip because our words hurt someone. So sometimes when people are like, oh, it's safe to be heard. As what? Is it safe to be heard as powerful? Is it safe to be heard gossiping? So it's actually really interesting. This is a little bit of a side scroll. It's not in my notes, but someone needs to hear it. So here you go. Everyone, when we talk about nervous systems, we usually talk about rest and digest, but there's another one specific to women called tend and befriend. Have you ever noticed after you get with a friend, you just feel better after you whine for a minute? Because when two women who trust each other share information, we create oxytocin, the same amount of oxytocin in a 20-minute conversation. Two women talking about, two women that trust each other talking can release the same amount of oxytocin as an orgasm. This is why women need women. Because just talking to another woman, you don't have to be in the same room with her. You just need to talk about something. It's called tend and befriend. It's what gives us the instinct to find the connection. This is why we say things like, oh, are you married? Where are you from? Where did you grow up? Who do we know that we know? Like, how can we connect? Who do you know that I know? We're trying to befriend you so we can tend to you. And because oxytocin is the primary hormone that keeps all of the other hormones healthy in women, it's natural for us to create oxytocin through connection. Men need dopamine. This is why men, they don't say, What do you have that I have too? They say, what do you have that I can have better? Because I need my hit of dopamine, and that's how we connect. And I'm not talking about masculine and feminine energy because that is not. I'm talking about actual physical female hormones versus male hormones. Men need dopamine, women need oxytocin. So if you can tell women that they're evil for talking to each other about information that they need to know, what is she not getting on a regular basis? Oxytocin. She's also getting her hormones screwed up because she's not getting enough oxytocin. She's getting dopamine. And dopamine is the thing that messes with women's hormones. We need oxytocin. This is why we touch each other when we talk to each other. This is why we hold each other's forearms or hands or shoulders. We touch. We hug hello, we hug goodbye. Men hit each other because the dopamine that's released by proving that they're strong helps their system. Can it go too far? Absolutely. In both men and women. Sometimes there's that woman that you're like, that was awkwardly long of a hug. Okay. So how is this affecting your business? In a couple different ways. So, oh wait, I have a graphic. And now that we are on Zoom and not Facebook, I can show you the graphic. And I will also post it afterwards so that you guys have it as well. Sorry, I wasn't prepared. Now I'm all excited. I get to show you the graphic I made. Okay, this is actually really important. How do I share? Share my screen. Can you guys see a really cool slide now? Cool. Okay. This is really important because for most of us, our witch wound is exacerbated or made deeper by our own family, by our generational patterns. And so you cannot heal generational wounds if you are still trying to soothe and win the approval of the generation who wounded you. Take out your phone and take a picture of that. You cannot heal generational wounds if you are still trying to soothe and win the approval of the generation who wounded you. I'm going to alter this a little bit for the witch wound. You cannot heal a witch wound if you are still trying to soothe and win the approval of the type of people who wounded you. So this is where a lot of people will get, they're called system trauma. So like religious trauma, political trauma, where you're in a system and that system continually wounds you. And you're like, okay, but if I can just get a little bit, if I can just do a few more things and prove that I deserve love, then I can heal. Can we heal them by stonewalling them? If connection is what continues to rip open the wound, I'm not, that's a different class. I will say this, stop proving. It's this approval. If you're trying to gain approval, you are putting yourself on the altar or the stake to be burned again and again and again. It's the approval. Okay. The witch wound. These are things that you will do. You will hide success. Ladies, brag. Brag so much more than you currently are bragging because I promise you're not bragging nearly enough. I jokingly tell people I have chosen to have the audacity of a 55-year-old bald fat man who keeps hitting on 20-year-olds because he actually thinks he has a chance. I am going to brag. I am going to brag. I'm going to brag about my 6-figure months. I'm going to brag about the new client that I just got. I'm going to brag about the vacation that I'm getting ready to go on. I'm going to brag. My husband surprised me and bought me a new van. I was so excited. I'm going to brag about my van. I'm going to brag about those things because the witch wound says hide your success. The witch wound says don't niche down. Don't become known for something, because if you're known for something, then you're competition. And if you're competition, then someone is going to get rid of competition by getting rid of you. Have you ever, oh, okay, this is such a good example. So, I can't remember which Facebook group it is, but anyways, Haven, I think I said your name wrong, and I apologize if I did, but she asked a question about Gene Key 51, and it's shock and thunder, and it is my favorite gene key that I have. It's all about awakening people. But people kind of hate you for it because nothing about you is subtle. You are thunder. So people come into your world and you're like, why do you do that? Because you're trying to help them awaken, and you are. And so, she posted that, and in my head I was like, oh my gosh, she has Gene Key 51 too. That's so cool. 20 years ago, I'd have been like, oh, she has Gene Key 51 too. That means I'm not special anymore. That means if she's going to shock people, then, and she does, like, is she going to do it the same way as me? We can't be friends anymore. Jamie, 51 is her Mercury message. She shocks people all the time. I love it. So I've worked with Jamie for years. Am I supposed to be like, oh, well, now that I know that about you, we can't be friends anymore? No, in my mind, I'm like, well, how can we shock the world together? Like, if we've already got thunder, how do we create a hurricane? Like, how do we really get things going here? Because as you heal your witch wound, other people's gifts and talents don't scare you. Other people's commonalities with you are a place for connection and collaboration, not comparison. Um, so this is a big one. So with a witch wound, you will comply or lie. People with an unhealed witch wound are they are the best liars out there because it's a survival mechanism. It's actually part of the flight part of fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Lying, blaming, excuses, finger pointing. You are in the trauma response of flight. You're using your words to run. Your body can't get out, so your words will. So comply or lie. And if you're not sure, and it can change, but like, it was during COVID, and people would say things like, if you ever wondered how you'd act during the Holocaust, now you know. Like, would you turn your neighbors in for not wearing a mask or whatever it was? That's the comply or lie. I'll comply, I'll fit in, I'll hide, I'll dim my light. I'll lie. It was her, not me. That's part of the witch wound. In business, this is how this shows up in business. I've had a successful 6-figure business for a really long time. Reality, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I read a book and it inspired me, so now I'm going to claim to be an expert and tell you to pay me a lot of money. Comply or lie. The person that shows up to their first day of work and has no clue, like they don't know what they don't know. But people are like, do it like this. And they're like, okay, no problem. Okay, they comply. It's part of the witch wound. They won't ask clarifying questions. So this is sometimes when you're in this place, clarifying questions are seen as going against authority or being disrespectful. And people who disrespected authority, your DNA will say, be careful. Don't do that. You're allowed to ask questions, ladies. Oh, okay. You're allowed to be seen as curious. You're allowed to be seen as curious. Someone needed that specific phrase. So there you go. Okay. You will doubt ideas that don't fit the mold. So a lot of women in business try really hard. It's, it's looking stupid that bothers me. Yes, if you can't answer the question, that's real too. So the fit the mold. This is why I will work with women who are genius in their genius zone, but they keep hiring experts to tell them how to run their business. And then this happened at the Awaken retreat. These women that were like, oh, okay, well, I hired this person and paid $10,000 and they told me to do my marketing like this, but I hate doing it like that. And I'm like, so do you market? And they're like, no, because I hate that method. Then don't use that method and market how you want to market. And all of a sudden you're marketing because you're using your own method instead of trying to fit the mold. It's okay if you don't fit the mold. You get to create the mold. But the mere thought of creating the mold is actually sometimes what activates art is it's safe to be seen as someone who creates their own mold. And then the deeper part of this, we try to sell the mold and no one buys it. So now we question ourselves. Oh, most healers do suck at marketing because they're not marketers, they're healers. And they became a healer to try and help people heal, not to market. Yeah, I have a whole soapbox about that. Okay, fear of sharing talents that help others heal in a variety of ways. For a very long time, I had to have a method as to why I knew what I knew about you. No, I'm a medium and I channel all the time, constantly and consistently. The fear of being misunderstood, that's what this is right here. The fear of sharing your talent. Because what if I share this and I try to help someone heal, but they misunderstand me? Misunderstandings used to get people burned. It's a real fear. And I'm not trying to fearmonger and keep you in your fears. I'm just trying to say to you, yes, if you've had that fear before, there's probably a reason. So, what if they do misunderstand you? Bring it to your present. We have to reteach our DNA. So, okay, Mackenzie, has someone misunderstood you in the past and you've survived it? So it is safe for you to be misunderstood. May I alter that statement just a little bit because I think it's something deeper. Can I go there? I'm going to actually wait to see what she responds. Okay. You're not afraid to be misunderstood. You're afraid of being judged. Because judgment hoses us twice in this life and the next. For anyone who is raised in religion, I don't care what religion it was. I talked to a client about this earlier today. No, I'm not a projector. I'm a generator, but I have a lot of projector channels. A lot. Okay. So so part of the getting kicked out of the tribe really did create possible death. So if you got kicked out of the tribe, if you got kicked out of the coven, you were more likely to not survive. So then put on top of that, okay, well, if I don't survive because I got kicked out of the relationship, I got kicked out of the group, I got kicked out of the system, I got kicked out of the coven, I got kicked out of the tribe, the religion, the whatever, and now I'm on my own, I'm gonna die. But fear of judgment goes one level deeper. If you have been taught to fear judgment because one day you'll die and be judged again, judgment literally isn't just an this life fear, it's an eternal fear. Because if I'm judged poorly, I will burn in hell. And if I'm judged that I'm good, then I get to go to whatever variety of heaven you believe in. So fear of judgment is not a small fear. I need everyone to hear this. You think it's just fear of death. No. Most people aren't actually afraid to die. They're afraid of what happens after. If I'm not judged good enough in this life experience, what on earth is going to happen to me in the next life experience? So fear of judgment isn't just I'm going to get kicked out of the tribe. It's how long am I going to be punished? Is it eternal damnation? Is it I have three choices and I'm stuck in the bottom? So, this fear of not fitting in, the lack of trust in the system is part of this. So, it's not just misunderstood. It's if I misunderstood, do I have a belief that there is an eternal consequence for that misunderstanding? Because all of a sudden, being misunderstood becomes very threatening. And in marketing, you won't market because you don't want to be misunderstood. And you'll type something up and you'll be like, okay, now I need 9 people to validate this before I post it because I don't want to be misunderstood. Because this isn't just short punishment, this is long-term punishment. Do you know who doesn't fear judgment? People who don't believe in heaven and hell. I have a whole business for years and I don't even have a website and won't find me on Google. Oh, I'm so glad you showed up tonight, Mackenzie. You also don't believe in heaven or hell. I love this. Okay, so your fear is only one level deep then. It's getting kicked out of the tribe. So, on a side note, here's what's really interesting. Witches don't believe in heaven or hell either. Witches are pagan and they don't believe in a devil. The people that accused them did. So, and you don't have to answer this, but just something to be aware of. Do you fear religion and religious figures, whether you're in a religion or not? So, not just Kenzie, because those are the people that were doing the burning. If you fear men in authority, those were the people doing the burning. If you have a lack of trust in people who trust the system, you're going to be leery of those people. So, this is why I usually find women who work outside the system, who try to break social norms, who are really, they're tired of looking for protection from outside sources. They want it from themselves. Yes, I feel like I don't belong in those settings. That is your nervous system saying, if you stay outside the system, we're safer. Ladies, start trusting your nervous system. And I'm not going to go too deep into that, but your nervous system creates your reality, not just your thoughts. Because your thoughts then create your nervous system then reacts to your thoughts. So if your thought is, I'm going to be seen, I'm going to be heard, I'm going to be noticed as a healer. Okay, I'm going to give this as a scenario, Mackenzie. Other coaches would be like, all right, well, I'm going to challenge you right now. I'm going to give you 30 days to get your business online and all the things, right? I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say this. Kenzie, you can keep your business hidden for as long as you want to. Because whether people know about your business or not, you can still claim to be a healer. Do you feel how your nervous system was like, oh, praise the Lord. Finally, someone who is not forcing me onto the pyre. When you feel safe as a healer, people will find you whether you want to be found or not. Putting your business out there, putting your book out there, putting your message out there is not actually what is getting you business or not. When you feel safe to be seen as a healer, an author, a speaker, a coach, an expert, when your nervous system can continue to breathe, that's when you launch your business. If every time you go to tell people who and what you do, you can't find the words and you stumble, it's because you're not telling the right people. You do sense, and this is, I'm going to stop the share for a second. Oh, there's a whole bunch of chats. Hold on. Have you been looking at those? I have not been looking at those. Okay. Thank you, Brianna. Okay. So when your nervous system can claim I'm a healer, whether I sell my services or not. I'm safe to be known as that. Then you will let yourself have a business. So you don't tell people who you fear. You tell people that you know will cheer you on. This is the most effective way to heal the witch wound, is to put yourself in places with other women who you can trust. This is why, if for those of you who have had children, do you remember how amazing of a parent you were going to be before you had a kid? And your child was never going to do such a thing. I am the youngest. So I learned very quickly everyone's child does that thing. So I never said, my child will never do that. I said, when my kid does that, I hope I behave in this way. I have a tendency to ruminate on things that happened in the past. Recently, I was doing that, and my husband stopped me and said, "But is it still true?" And I had to stop. He was right. The situation was different. That changed my perspective. I think something we need to accept and tell our ancestors is this is no longer true. Yes, we are no longer being burned at the stake. Okay, and here is actually something that's really important. There's more ways to burn a woman than at the stake. So this is why our nervous systems get so fired. Women get burned on social media all the time. Women get burned in the job sector all the time. Last time I was having a conversation and someone was like, "Oh, she slept her way to the top." And I said, instead of condoning what she had to do, instead of saying she slept her way to the top, why don't we say things like, "It's ridiculous that men wouldn't give her that position without sexual favors." She's not a single mom. Their dad abandoned them. I'm really tired. She doesn't have daddy issues. She had a dad that pieced out, that didn't support her and wasn't there for her. A woman was not raped. A man raped a woman. We leave out that piece, and it is continuing to feed modern day witch wounds. Yes, safety allows our nervous system to heal. I heard other people say that. I was the oldest and second mom, so I was the one that got blamed when they didn't behave. Yes. Okay, so that's the sibling wound is another part of this. So for those of you that are like, I hate networking and I can't be around people and I don't like those are sibling wounds, and they actually heal in almost the same way as a witch wound, being around people you trust. Witch wounds heal fastest through engaging with other business owners. So this is like moms find other moms to complain to. Because if a mom complains to a non-mom, then people say things like, "Well, you signed up for this. You're the one that chose to have kids." And you're like, "I'm not saying I don't want kids. I'm saying I'm ready to throat punch one of them. If they, like, why do they only throw up at 1 o'clock in the morning on the carpet?" So women who own businesses need to spend time with other women who own businesses. Women who like to dress sexy need to spend time with other women who like to dress sexy. Women who like to read books need to sit in the room with other women who like to read books. You need to be around, in order to heal the witch wound, you need to be around people that are just like you. Not the exact, this is a soapbox. Okay. And this is why the healing matters. If you don't fit the mold and you try to launch your business in the way that experts say you have to do it A, B, and C, and you're like, "But I don't want to do it that way," you just won't launch your business. Because your nervous system is like, no, no, thank you. Masterminds, networking groups, lunch dates with friends, Brianna said, environment matters. Behaviors of others that match your behaviors show your nervous system. This is natural. That is called entrainment. So when business women get together and they're all excited and they're all sharing about each other's businesses and they're all sharing about each other's wins, your nervous system literally goes, it's safe to brag about my business. When a woman walks in a dress and it hugs every beautiful curve she has, and everyone looks, every man, woman, and child is like, you go, "Oh, I could have worn something like that." That's when you heal your wound. When you get out of comparison and into collaboration. And it really is the people that you're with. How many of you have heard the phrase, you are the same as the 4 people you spend the most time with? Oh, she says out of judgment. Yeah, that's so. Are you judging yourself or are you judging them? Because that is actually part of the witch wound. If you're like, oh, okay, how do you judge sex? How do you judge a woman who's dressed sexy? Because that's what's not allowing you to be sexy. How do you judge a woman who's wealthy? I get this one a lot with the prices I charge. I can't afford you. You can always afford what you want. I have seen it again and again and again. And I have had people that are like, oh, well, I could put my house on a second mortgage. And I'm like, so you could mentor with me? No, I'm not ever going to ask you to take out like special financing so that you can get my opinion. I think that's absurd. And in the same breath, I have paid money to be in the room with the people who have $1 million days. And the first time I did that, my nervous system was like, we do not belong here, just in case you're wondering. And I was like, but I will someday, right? As I'm like tapping it in. It's safe to be with millionaires. It's safe to be around millionaires. It's safe to be around people that are more successful than I am. It's safe for me to be the person in the conversation that has no clue what the hell they're talking about. Because your brain doesn't create your reality, your nervous system does. So if you are the person and you're around 5 people and they're all bashing on your business and they're all giving, none of them have ever owned a business or ran a business, stop taking advice from them. The last thing I would do right now is give Brianna and Jessica advice on how to launch a book. Because guess what? I've never done. Launch a book. I've launched other products, so I can say, this is what I would do for this. And I've also been able to be like, oh, you think that that's the problem? That's not the problem at all. But our witch wound tells us to hide our gifts, to hide our talents. So, we're going to do 2 things in this last little bit here. One, I want Brianna to talk about hiding and human design and how, because when we were talking about this, she was like, oh, I could talk so much about this. And I was like, oh, well, then why don't you? I'll just have you be on the, do the second part of it. And then the other thing, really quick, I want to, there's 2 things that we've been working on. And one is kind of an extension of this call. Do you want to unmute for a second, Brianna, so you can talk about this with us?
Yeah.
So we were trying to think of ways, because we really are like, okay, we want to help other women in business have a place that they can ask questions and get them answered, that they can mastermind and be like, hey, this is something that's happening. I need some opinions on people from women who have been through this. So we came up with something and we love the name. And those of you who know us will love the name too. And those of you who don't know us really well will be like, huh, but trust me, it fits. So it's called the Bougie Boardroom.
It's so on
And
point.
we are going to do twice a month live question and answer mastermind
Masterminds.
because we want women to join us in our bougie boardroom where they can learn how to feel safe, to feel sexy, and safe to feel sensual, and safe to do their business at their pace in their way, and get opinions from experts who have been doing it, from us, from you. We want this to be a place where She can talk about human design, where I can talk about masculine and feminine and how to do this through pleasure instead of pain. I just finished my board. Yes. So it's these places where it's like, okay, where do I fit?
Mm-hmm.
And where am I safe, even if I don't fit the mold? Can I show up in my weirdness and still fit? So we made the Bougie Boardroom. So that is going to start. The next one is on the 29th.
That's the 29th.
Is that right, Brianna?
It is. It's on the 29th. So it's on
Okay.
a Wednesday. So 2 weeks from now, put it in your guys' calendar. Because as we grow, we definitely want you to like grow with us. I mean, that's the point. So the 29th at 6 o'clock. And then we're also going to do it for 90 minutes. So you can plan from 6 to 7:30. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that was perfect. Okay, so that's the first one. So you're going to start seeing things for the Bougie Boardroom to sign up for that. It is going to be $27 to join. And this is why. For those of you who've heard me talk about this, the transaction starts the transformation. Have you ever been given unsolicited advice? Did it help?
No.
The transaction starts the transformation. So we're like, all right, we're going to do it for $27. We're going to be doing 4 of them. So if you sign up for all 4, it'll be $100 instead of 100 and some change. Okay.
Mm.
So you'll see a place to sign up for the Bougie Boardroom. And you'll also be able to fill out a question and answer so that we can kind of prep ahead of time and be like, all right, oh, you have a question about this specific human design concept, or you have a question about this specific masculine, feminine energy. How does that work in business? So that we can bring you as many resources as possible. So that's the Bougie Boardroom. And those are more just gonna be fun. I don't know. I'm almost just as excited about those as the other part of it. So the other one is Legacy and Lace. And this is happening in January down here in St. George. It is a 3-day networking. And this came about because Brianna, you explain the event because you explain it in not so much judgment as I do.
No, but I use laughter to cover up the judgment. So we went to an event in California, and I mean, you're hanging out with millionaires and all of these fabulous people. So we go there to plug ourselves into a community full of women. And let's just say in 1 or 2 sentences that when we got to this business networking event, I'm speaking slowly on purpose. We were not allowed to talk about our business. We were not allowed to collaborate with other people or even tell them what we do. And so we just, I mean, I'm going to be really honest. It's not even judgment of the event as much as I had a thought. I'm going to be really raw because vulnerability is the way. I went to the restroom and I had this thought that Laurel and I needed to do this. And I didn't know what this meant at the time. And then she wrote on her journal when I came back from the bathroom, do you want to do an event? And we both had inspiration and intuition. And I think that is really important to tell you guys just because we wanted to create, at first, it was like, let's do this the right way. To be honest, it was like, let's just do this the right way where women can actually talk and socialize. And we're not like in a hierarchy because Laurel and I, if you haven't met us or hung out with us or you're watching this on the replay, I think she would agree that we both feel so strongly that it's not about hierarchy. It's always been about synergy. And when you're in a group of women, the group is not about a ladder, it's about a circle. Literally, that's the feminine, right? And so we wanted to bring together a legacy and lace because, well, you need both, like Laurel said, the masculine and the feminine, and legacy and lace was just the name that came to us. So we're going to invite you. That is happening January 15th. You want to put it in your calendars now because holidays, they happen. We get it. That's actually why we rescheduled. And here we are. So we're going to kick off 2026 with collaboration with high vibe women, with anyone, and really just with heart. I think what we really keep coming back to is heart, heart, heart. So you can be a business owner of 2, you can be literally a millionaire of 5,000, but the point is heart makes the world go round. And I think we both felt so strongly to just let you guys know that on January 15th, we're going to be doing that. The 16th
15th, 16th, and
and
17th.
17th. Yeah, all 3 days. And it's going to be full days. So if you had a delightful time in this like hour and a half with us and we're not even done, imagine that, but like for 3 days and really in depth with somatics, with embodiment, with talking about yourself, with growth, with, and we're all about the and. So go ahead, Laurel.
Oh, no, and say so the other part about the event that was super interesting was they wanted to teach us femininity,
Mm-hmm.
but kept calling it feminine energy. And those of you who know me, this was me the whole time. No, that's wrong. No.
Mm-hmm.
As they're telling us, you have to shake hands like this and you have to point your toe like this. And they were literally like, I'm like, you are creating witch wounds in your instructions.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
his eyes like this for most of, and I looked at Brianna and I said, okay, here's the problem. There's one type of event where you go and you make really, really good friends, but you get nothing done. And there's the other type of networking event where everyone is just handing out their business card and you're like, did you even bother to learn my name?
Mm-hmm.
And we want a place where, like she said, everyone feels heard, everyone feels seen, that there is a place for you to say, this is my business, this is what I do. Who can I collaborate with?
Mm-hmm.
Who needs me and my services? And whose services do I need?
Mm-hmm.
So we want it to be a place where women can come and heal their witch wound,
Mm-hmm.
where they can feel safe to talk about money. Jamie's like, yes, let's talk about money. Safe to talk about money, safe to talk about our skills, safe to be seen and heard, because you literally need to reprogram your nervous system
Mm-hmm.
to feel safe to be seen and heard. So if you never put yourself in situations to be seen, to be heard, to talk about your business, it can't you can do all the mind work you want to, but your body isn't used to the situation. So then when you go to push post or send, you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we would love for those of you that feel, and this is where I can't remember who it was, but someone was like, people suck at marketing in the beginning. I still suck at marketing. I've been doing this for over 20 years and I'm not going to go over your pain points. And I'm not very good at being like, no, really, you have to be there. I'm like, come if you want. Don't if you don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But no, it's an event that's being hosted by two women who are experts in their fields and want your expertise to shine too.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Now I'm going to mute myself and let Brianna talk to you about human design and hiding because yeah, she'll repeat the conversation.
Thank you. So, how many of you, a lot of you know human design, but I'm not going to assume that those on our Facebook page know much about it. How many of you guys know what human design is? Will you put in the chat? Okay, or raise your hand. That's perfect too. Okay, so I just wanted to recap what Laurel was saying before I forget, just really briefly. The Bougie Boardroom, you can ask any questions. So I want you guys to, it felt like it needed clarity that you guys could ask like whatever questions you have, like literally. So there was that. As far as the event goes, I know that Laurel had answered the question in the chat. We are doing Diamonds After Dark the night before, well, the first night. So Diamonds After Dark is where we're going to encourage you to not just get dressed up, but like to push it just a little or a lot. And in that process, we're going to literally ask you to become in that moment seen, like Laurel was saying, and not just seen, but like in your best, and to have women actually cheer you on. So I think that's really important because those are the moments where dressing in a dress sounds silly until it's not, because it's like so fun to be seen by other women. So there's that. Okay, so back to human design. So I'm Brianna. I love teaching human design and Gene Keys mostly because the principles behind it. There's human design and gene keys, and people can get really lost in all of the complexities. But where I love, love, love to put the spotlight is where people can actually find their essence in a world that honors sort of like fake, or honors a world where you have to be someone that you're not. How many of you guys have had the thought in business, if I just knew the strategy? Like literally. Now plug that into relationships, into money, into whatever area you can think of. Most of us, our brains will say, if I could just find the strategy. Does anyone relate? Yes, Angela has her hand up. So the interesting thing about this, as Laurel's talking about the witch wound, the hiding, when we ask just for the strategy, I want you to know that is also a part of the hiding game. Because what it does is it keeps you in a loop of forever seeking. And as long as you're not seeking, you're not shining. And I want to be really clear. There's a difference between like seeking because we desire the next thing. I'm not talking about expansion. I'm talking about the bullshit excuse that says, I just don't know the strategy. I'm not enough. I don't know how to market. I don't know. But here's the thing. What if you did know? And here's the better question to ask. What if I did it my way? Because that is a different question that is going to get you out of hiding and get you out of the fears that you guys were so vulnerable with, like being reprimanded, right? For shining too brightly and things like that. So with human design and gene keys, I say both, but for those that are new, they are the same system. Human design is the blueprint for your essence. It is the expression of how your energy flows best and how it operates best. So the reason you want to learn that then would be so that you can, like Laurel said, see another girl in her like freaking amazing talent and go, holy hell, not only do I need to not like shame you for being amazing and being a diamond that you are, right? Like Diamonds After Dark was way more than just the bougie, promise. There was like fine to that. Because when you understand that you are a diamond and someone else is shining, you go, holy shit, not only is it amazing that you show up and show me what is possible, but I can also be a diamond in the making too. And no two diamonds need to have the same shape or the same expression or the same whatever. And so with human design, what really I think we need to be aware of is that when we look into our design, we're not looking outside of ourselves, but I'm going to use Laurel as an example, if that's okay. So when we showed up together, believe me, you are working with two women that are going to tell you the truth, and it's going to look however it looks. Why? Because we're so unhinged. We're safe to be seen as, fill in the blank, tell you the truth. So when we came together, do you think that Laurel has had any in 20, 30, 40 years of business? Do you think she's had any reason to not trust women in business? Some of you are like, okay. So I've also done business. Do you think I've had any one reason to not join with another woman in business? Okay, here's what's really, really cool about this. Before we brought this to you, guess what we had to do first? Okay, I want to talk about leadership for just a minute because a lot of you might not see yourself as a leader. The ability to lead yourself already qualifies you as a leader. You learn your human design because once you understand it, once you have verbiage, once you have an idea of the mechanics inside of you, at that point, you're able to lead yourself. Okay, leadership is not an out there thing. I know that a lot of people might think it is. Leadership is the ability to lead yourself no matter what. So you are going to come up against some wounds, like Laurel's saying, where your nervous system is like, I don't belong here. I don't have a business. Oh my gosh, I'm not as qualified. Do you think I thought that when I met Laurel? Yes, yes, I did. Guess what? I told her when we became friends. Do you love how like real I am? Can't not be raw. I said, I can't hold your frequency. That is what I told her. I said, when I first met you, I can't hold your frequency. Now you know what I do? I play in her frequency. I play in our frequency. But to be able to go to another woman, do you know what healing had to be done for me to say, hey, I just want you to know, full transparency. I'm a lover of transparency, by the way. To actually be able to say, I just want you to know I can't hold your frequency. But when I gave voice to that, do you know what that did? That allowed a space of cooperation or collaboration to be formed. So I want to also tie in the part where human design is beautiful because you know yourself. Human design is also so badass because then I understand the other. And when we understand the other, I think what gets overlooked is that when I understand what I thought was a weakness is actually just not my skill set, I'm not wasting time trying to be it, right? So I go to someone else and I'm like, hey, you have this amazing skill that I don't. And I would love for you to just be in your zone of genius. And I'll give you another example because I can't not. So Laurel has a beautiful gift of management. Do you think I give a damn to do so? I don't. Full transparency. I don't. And here's what I do love. I love being on the ground, boots on the ground with the people saying, hey, this is what we're doing. Someone call that sales. I call it sharing. That's my zone of genius is the sales. And then I go to Laurel. I'm like, hey, do you love sales? And she's like, do not ask me to do X, Y, and Z. And guess what's cool? We can collaborate because I understand me. She understands her. And in the middle, there is a space for harmony. So what you're actually getting tonight, of course, you're getting a whole bunch, but my part of this is to help you understand, number one, if you don't know your human design, please pull it up. Go to mybodygraph.com. Start there. Number two, go to genekeys.com. That will help you understand the main four of your profile. Start there. And if you're like, dude, I've been in the game like with this for a long time, what's my next step? Here's your next step. We're going to ramp it up in business. Because too many times people will be like, I know who I am. That's amazing. But I have this other box and business requires this. We're not going to do the masculine way anymore where we break up boxes and we have to be someone according to the role that we're playing. Do you get what I'm saying? Business doesn't have to be the same, or I'm sorry, business doesn't have to be different than how you do relationship with your romantic partner versus how you do lunch with your girlfriends versus how you do life. If you have to change who you are based on the role that you are playing, that is an issue. And it's not an issue because you're the issue. The systems they're giving you are not fitting you. So we're going to invite you to expand with us because some of you are still wearing some like energetic suits that you outgrew like 2 years ago. And the voices in your head that are like, I don't know if I can do this. Guess what? They might be a part of your epigenetics and your DNA inside of, human design, gene keys, all the things. And I'm going to tell you something that changed my life. And if it doesn't change yours, I am not offended. But I want you to know that you are the believer, not the belief. You are the believer, not the belief. So you can have a belief that you will be rejected. You can have that belief. And you are the believer behind that belief, which means automatically you now have choice. Do you want to continue to believe that or not? So I love that Laurel is bringing up the awareness of where we have so much room to grow and to come together in sisterhood because it's our natural state where we can feel that oxytocin. And it's okay to know that at a soul level, we're also different in our expression. So I'm going to ask you to put in the chat if you could name just one thing, whether you know about your human design or not, if you could just name one question that you have right now with your human design and business, or a question that you have with Gene Keys and business, or a question that you have with the witch wound and business. I want to, for these last 2 minutes or so, give you guys just a moment to contemplate some questions that came up for you, because it's kind of rude to give you all this information and then close it out and be like, and we're done. Okay, so the reason I'm doing that is because when we meet next time in 2 weeks, October 29th, we're going to have the Bougie Boardroom and we're going to continue conversation. Okay, we're going to continue conversation. But if I was to give you just one golden nugget on how to help heal your witch wound with your human design, I would tell you to start with your life's work. It's the first, and if this means nothing to you, it's okay to check out and put it in the chat. Some of you have done this a long time. I am telling you that the very first number in your human design, your life's work, top right corner when you grab the app, that number has 70%. I'm going to say that again, 70% of unconscious or conscious beliefs that you are holding around hiding. So if you want to lift your vibration a good 70%, I would start there. Okay. And by the way, you can do that with one question. And I love that you put your profile. We'll talk about that in later things. You can ask one question. I'm going to give you what's helped change my life with what Laurel's talking about using human design. But one question, yes, I'll explain it one more time. Life's work. When you go to genekeys.com, free profile, it gives you the first number. If you have the human design app, it's the top right number. And if none of this makes sense, that's okay, because tonight's purpose is just letting you know it is a system that you can get started on. Laurel, if you don't mind putting in the chat, will you put mybodygraph.com? Thank you. And that one number is going to help you just start to shift where you've been hiding, where 70% of your world has been maybe under a bush because you're like, well, I want to do this, but I don't know, right? Start there. And I would ask just one question. Where in my life do I still carry shame in this gene key? And the reason I use shame is because shame is the very vibration that makes us hide. We're talking about the witch wound. There's a lot to it, but I'm going to ask one question. Where am I still feeling shame because of my life's work? Okay. So with that being said, I just want to close this out, and then I'll let Laurel finish if she has any last remarks. Tonight, we really just wanted to share with you, obviously, our beautiful creation. So again, mark your calendars for October 29th. And then January 15th, 16th, and 17th, we're going to do legacy and lease. And what I want you to get from tonight on my portion is just a couple of things. You're the believer, not the belief. You don't have to have shame around your design any longer. And it's okay to vocalize and say out loud the things that keep you in the witch wound so they don't keep you anymore. Speak out loud. Hey, you really trigger me. Hey, you are like amazing and I don't feel like I am. Well, guess what? Now we can talk about it. So we're going to eliminate shame just by bringing it to the surface. And I dare you to do that. Literally, I dare you. Okay, that's what I have for you tonight, Laurel. I'm going to let you go ahead and close out.
Cool. So to close, we're actually going to do just a really quick 60-second breath pattern to calm your nervous system while you think about your next the thing that you want to bring to you the most. So all of you came on this call for a reason, because you had something that you're like, I need to heal my witch wound because it's affecting blank, right? You all had something. Nobody just shows up to a class because they're like, I want to spend an hour and a half listening to someone on the internet. You had a reason. So find that reason. And where is your nervous system right now? How is it feeling right now as you think of that, as you feel into it? Because manifestation requires sensation. And if the sensation is death and dismemberment, that's why your manifestation practices are not working. Manifestation requires sensation. So we are going to think of the thing that you're like, if I can heal my witch wound, I can have more friends, I can have more money, I can have more trust, I can feel more committed, I can travel, what is the thing? And what sensation do you want it to create in your body? So just start there. Because even if your body is relaxed now, so if your body gets tense, we're going to take it to a state of relaxation. If your body is relaxed, we're actually going to put it into a state of pleasure, because manifestation is creation energy, and creation energy and sexual energy are the same energy. So you can create through pain or you can create through pleasure, but the human body is created to create through pleasure, not through pain. So we're going to get you hopefully to neutrality. If you're already at neutral, then we're going to go into more of a bliss. So we're going to do a 60-second bliss breath, and it's slow, but it's very purposeful. So as you breathe, you're going to breathe in and out through your nose. If you have a stuffy nose, it's okay, because they're going to be slow breaths. But the key to this is to breathe with your whole body. So when you're breathing in through your nose, it's not just your shoulders. Because guess what? Your shoulders don't actually help you breathe. They do nothing. But usually if your shoulders are moving while you're breathing, it's because you're sucking in your stomach and your stomach is trying to activate. So you're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And if you're like, Laurel, that's just normal breathing. Hold on, there's another part to this. So you're going to connect the breath. If you can connect it to your heart when you breathe, I actually want your heart to start to feel warmth as you breathe. For some of you, that's the most you'll be able to get it to move, and that's okay. If you can breathe even deeper and you can get it down to your solar plexus, so the base of your sternum, you'll start to feel warmth there. If you can get it down to your belly button, down to where your sacral is, and actually feel the burning in your belly of desire, of passion, of creation. But here's actually the main goal. You want to bring it all the way down to your tailbone. So you're going to breathe all the way down into, you're going to bring the breath all the way down. And as you breathe in, I want you to actually release your butt. And as you breathe out, you're going to squeeze your bum and your kegels and all of that to push the energy up and out. So as you breathe in, do you see how I'm raising and lowering? I'll show you. So as you breathe in, you're going to relax. As you breathe out, you're going to tense everything. Breathe in, breathe out. I'm just raising and lowering myself with my bum. Okay. So we're going to breathe. If you can only get to your chest, you just want your chest to expand really far. If you can only get to your belly, get your belly to expand really far. If you can breathe all the way down to your safety, you're telling yourself it's safe to feel pleasure while I manifest. It's safe to feel pleasure while I heal. Okay? Where'd my clock go? 30 seconds. I'm not going to do any music or anything like that because Facebook will just mute it. So start by dropping your shoulders, relaxing your jaw. Even though you're breathing in and out through your nose, you can part your lips just slightly. Let your hands relax on your legs. We're going to start by breathing in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Keep breathing at your pace. With every breath in, relaxing even more into the body. Feeling the breath go down your throat and into your heart. Feeling the breath go down into the belly, increasing your capacity for pleasure, for joy, for receiving. Breathing all the way down into your root. And as you breathe all the way down, let your mind say, it is safe to be seen as. Continue to breathe. I am safe to be seen as. I am safe to be seen as. Now take a really deep breath in, the deepest breath you've had all day long. Really deep, fill your lungs, and then hold. And I invite you to hold a little longer than you would normally hold. When your body first says, take a breath, hold for just a few more seconds and let your body feel the bliss of that long hold. feel your energy expanding and opening up capacity. You are safe to be seen as. And then when your body calls for it, take a breath. Okay, as you're feeling the yawn, the need to stretch, that's your body releasing the tension that you had around it's safe to be seen as. 60 seconds changed and reset your nervous system so that you can be safe to be seen as wealthy, as sexy, as happy, as a leader, as all the things that every part of you knows you were designed to be seen as. You're not here to play small anymore. You were never here to play small. It is safe to be seen as someone who is filled with pleasure. It is safe to be seen as someone who wants friends and to collaborate. I see you. I love you. And I hope that you can see yourselves and that it is safe for you to be seen. Thank you so much for coming and being here with us tonight. And I love you.